All right, let's plot a romance. All right, we're gonna build this. Let's just go to the show instead of tell, because these are some. The reason I'm having so much trouble with this one is these sorts of things. Like I've told you before, character growth and progress is an instinctive thing for me, and it's something I do as I go. And so when I actually write a book, I say this is a potential romantic interest. This is also a potential romantic interest. These are connections that could be made at some point in the book. I will often do that. I won't always, but I will often do that. And I will allow the character to grow in the direction that it feels like the match works. And so let's do this. Let's build ourselves two characters. How old are they?
24.
Okay. Are they the same age?
No.
Okay.
24 to 30.
So she's 27, he's 24. All right. I married an older woman, so I'm partial. All right, 27, 24. What is the dudette's profession?
City planner.
What's that? City planner? Okay. Let's try not to do a romantic comedy, so let's do a genre thing. So we're going to put urban fantasy, okay? What? It doesn't have, urban fantasy does not have to mean vampires.
Sorry.
You wanted it to be actual fantasy?
I don't know.
All right. So she's an urban planner for the fairy world.
An urban fairy world.
Yeah, the hidden world, whatever it is. She's the person who is the liaison when they come and say, we want to be building a new series of fairy huts on top of this skyscraper. Can we get zoned for that? So she's, urban planner. Okay? And she has to get the proper permits and make sure that there's no psychics living in the house that could accidentally discover the fairy world by hearing the voices on top or things like that. What's the dude's profession and or?
Detective.
Detective? Okay, he's a detective. There you go. You're doing this already. All right, so we've already got one rose braided together, right? He is investigating the fairy world that she, in part, is supposed to keep secret. All right? What's the plot of our book? What's the capital P plot, the big thing that's happened that is going to drive the whole narrative?
Big bad fairy guy. Overlord.
Okay, big Lord of Fairy World. So we've got the fairy, Godfather. And there's a fairy turf war going on, which is directly related to what she does, and it's spilled over into what he does. He doesn't know about the fantasy world. She does. They met on Match.com. Right? TM.
But not by accident.
But not by accident. Okay, this is good. What happened? How did they meet? They just have you start off with a normal date, and they're like, nothing's going to happen here. And in fact, they have a horrible first date.
I heard a quote one time, and this can work either way. You can either have some kind of controlling force pushing them together, but you can also, coincidences are a huge part of romance.
Yes, they are.
And that's what makes it feel special.
Yeah.
If it's not, if there aren't coincidences, then it just feels bland.
Very nice. Very nice thing to add. Okay. So they met on Match.com. You're saying it could be just a coincidence that they did. And that's part of what drives this whole story, is that, these two different people, we start off with a little bit of his story, we start off with a little bit of her story, and we're like, oh, this thing is happening, this is cool. Meanwhile, they're both living their lives, and they both are wanting, and so they end up on a date together, and that's the first time they interact. It could actually be kind of cool as a end of Act 1 sort of, what are these two characters? They meet randomly, you've seen them both browsing profiles online, and go on a date together. And during the date, the fairy gangsters order a hit on one of the two of them. And suddenly, they order a hit on him, and you could do a very nice reversal where she's an urban planner, but she's ex anti fairy gangster, something like that. She's got some powers in the fantasy world, and so it turns into the tough detective guy has to get protected by the woman in a business suit to keep him from being assassinated by the fairy gangsters for reasons that they don't know, and he knows nothing about all of this. He's just been investigating something completely separate, but that does tie in. And so what you suddenly worked into it is a reason they have to be together. They were having a horrible first date. It ended with an assassination attempt, and now she, by nature of what she is, feels like she has to keep him alive. He wants to get the heck out of here because she's crazy, and her friends that dress up like LARPers who tried to kill him are crazy. And you're laughing because this is fun. This is going to be a fun story. Now, in this one, this is turning into more romance. And so at this point, I would say I'm not really writing a romance. I want to have a strong romantic element to an interesting story. And so I would start building more personality for each of them separate. And I would start building this fairy gangster war and things, and make sure that when we introduce both of them, they have compelling stories and narratives that are aside from the romance that's going to come at them. But this is going to turn into a romance story, as one of its main things.
So does the relationship arc have to track the plot arc? Like